There's a quiet weight many of us carry. It's not in our hands or on our shoulders, but deep inside, a burden made of old pain, grudges, fears, and expectations that no longer serve us. The world tells us to push through, to toughen up, to hold on. But what if the key to real freedom isn't in holding tighter, but in learning to let go? Wayne Dyer once said, "You can't give away what you don't have." And when we cling to resentment, anger, and pain, we have nothing left to offer the world but more of the same. In the same spirit, Alan Watts taught that the more you try to control life, the more it controls you. True peace, he said, comes from surrender, from allowing things to be as they are, not as we wish them to be. Letting go isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's choosing to release the illusion of control in favor of flow. It's deciding that peace matters more than proving a point, that your future matters more than your past. In this journey, you'll hear insights not only from Wayne Dyer and Alan Watts, but from minds like Marianne Williamson, Dr. Carol Dweck, Neville Goddard, and Dr. David Hawkins. You'll walk alongside the stories of people like Nelson Mandela and Tyler Perry, individuals who turned pain into purpose by releasing what no longer served them. If you've ever felt trapped by your own mind, haunted by the past, or weighed down by what others did to you, this message is for you. Because this isn't just a video, it's a shift. And maybe, just maybe, it's the beginning of your real freedom. Some pain doesn't shout, it lingers. It shows up in the quiet moments, in the things we avoid, in the people we push away. We hold on to it not because it's helping us, but because it feels familiar. But familiarity is not the same as freedom. Wayne Dyer once asked, "Are you willing to be peaceful while others choose conflict?" That question pierces through the noise. Because letting go isn't just about forgetting the past, it's about reclaiming our power in the present. Alan Watts used to say, "To let go is to admit that we are not in control, and never were." This idea can feel threatening at first, but it's also liberating. The control we think we have is often just resistance in disguise. Let's take the story of Nelson Mandela. After 27 years in prison, he walked out not just free in body, but free in spirit. He famously said, "As I walked out the door toward my freedom, I knew that if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison." His freedom was not the key that opened a cell, but the choice to release resentment. Tyler Perry, one of the most successful creators in Hollywood, lived in his car and endured years of abuse. But his breakthrough didn't come from holding on to what happened, it came from transforming it. He turned pain into stories that would touch millions. Letting go didn't erase the past. It gave it purpose. Spiritual teacher Michael Bernard Beckwith teaches that pain pushes until vision pulls. We often wait for the pain to be unbearable before we surrender. But what if we could start now, before the suffering compounds? Letting go isn't passive. It's an act of power, of choosing peace over drama. Marianne Williamson speaks of forgiveness not as condoning the past, but as setting yourself free from it. Unforgiveness, she says, is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. This metaphor is a mirror for many of us. Dyer often warned of the trap of the false self, the idea that we are our pain, our trauma, our story. But who we really are exists beyond that. He believed that by releasing these labels, we step into a deeper truth, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Letting go is also deeply connected to the body. Tension, stress, illness, these can be physical echoes of emotional holding. Watts reminded us that the body is the unconscious mind made visible. When we soften our grip emotionally, our bodies respond. And so we begin the work. The real internal work. This is not a quick fix or a magic mantra. It's a deep invitation to recognize the emotional luggage we carry and ask, what would happen if I put this down? Who might I become if I stopped clinging to what hurt me? The journey begins with awareness, and awareness leads to choice. We cannot heal what we don't see, but once we see it, we can release it. We live in a culture obsessed with control. From productivity hacks to 5-year plans, we're taught that every outcome is ours to command, as long as we try hard enough, want it bad enough, and never, ever let go. But what if the very act of clinging is what blocks the blessings? Alan Watts said, "Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. The more we stir, the less we see. In trying to control every detail of life, we cloud the very clarity we seek." Letting go isn't defeat. It's trust. In the process, in the timing, and in something larger than ourselves. Wayne Dyer echoed this truth when he taught about the power of intention. He believed that when you align your inner world with peace and purpose, the outer world begins to mirror it. It's not about forcing outcomes. It's about aligning with what you want, then allowing it in. This surrender, however, is not passive. It's active faith. Take J.K. Rowling, who was rejected by multiple publishers, broke, and on the verge of giving up. But she let go of how her dream should happen and simply kept writing. Her story reminds us that surrender doesn't mean quitting. It means releasing the timeline and continuing with heart. The same principle guided Jim Carrey, who once wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, dated it 5 years in the future, and visualized it every day. He didn't obsess over how it would happen. He held the vision and let go of the fear. When he landed Dumb and Dumber, the exact amount matched. That's not just luck. That's surrender paired with intention. This alignment is what spiritual teacher Neville Goddard described as the law of assumption, the belief that you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It's not about hoping. It's about knowing as if it's already done. And then, like what's said, stepping out of the way. But letting go doesn't mean you feel calm every moment. Sometimes, surrender comes with grief, doubt, or even rage. David Letterman, after being passed over to replace Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show, felt devastated. For a while, he resisted the outcome. But ultimately, that closed door led to his own groundbreaking show and a deeper creative freedom. The setback became his setup. But only once he released the bitterness. Gretchen Rubin, in her best-selling book The Happiness Project, describes how the pursuit of happiness often involves letting go of imagined identities. We cling to who we think we should be, and miss the joy of who we already are. She writes, "The days are long, but the years are short. Letting go means being here now, not clinging to a perfect someday." Dyer warned that the ego thrives on control. It says, "When this changes, then I'll be happy." But the soul knows peace is available now. What's called this the backwards law? The harder you chase something, the more it eludes you. Peace comes when you stop chasing. And that's the paradox. Real power comes not from gripping harder, but from loosening the grip. From saying, I trust life enough to stop controlling every corner of it. Because life isn't a problem to be solved. It's a mystery to be lived. So ask yourself, what are you clinging to today? A story, a title, a timeline? What if letting go isn't the end, but the beginning? There's a quiet revolution that begins the moment we stop identifying with our pain. So many of us wear our past like a badge. The one who was betrayed, the one who failed, the one who was never enough. We replay the story over and over, hoping it will finally make sense. But what if healing begins not with understanding the past, but with releasing it? Wayne Dyer spoke often about the power of choice. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That includes how we see ourselves. We are not our trauma. We are not our mistakes. We are not the stories others wrote for us. Alan Watts called the ego a social fiction, a mask we learn to wear. He said, trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth. The more we search for a fixed identity, the more we suffer. Real freedom comes from releasing the labels and becoming present. Few embody this like Steve Jobs. After being fired from Apple, the very company he founded, he let go of his attachment to status. Instead of spiraling into resentment, he explored, created, and eventually returned with a new vision. He said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backward." His surrender led not just to success, but to meaning. But it's not just about external setbacks. Sometimes it's the weight we carry inside. Eckhart Tolle, in The Power of Now, describes how identification with pain, the pain body, keeps us locked in cycles of suffering. Letting go means stepping out of the story and into awareness. It's not forgetting. It's forgiving, not for their sake, but for ours. Serena Williams, one of the most dominant athletes in history, once said, "I've had to learn to forgive people who didn't apologize." For her, letting go wasn't about weakness, it was about strength. Releasing the resentment allowed her to focus her energy forward, not backward. Her career was as much mental as physical, built on grace, resilience, and inner discipline. David Goggins, a former Navy SEAL and ultramarathon runner, pushed his body to extremes most can't imagine. But even he says the real battle was internal. Growing up in abuse and poverty, he carried deep anger. His turning point came when he stopped blaming his past and took full ownership of his life. You have to own all of it, he says, even the pain. His journey teaches that letting go of blame is where true toughness begins. This is echoed by Dr. Carol Dweck, who coined the concept of the growth mindset. She teaches that identities are not fixed. We can always change, adapt, grow. But that only happens when we stop defending who we were and start investing in who we're becoming. Dr. David Hawkins, in his groundbreaking work on consciousness, described letting go as the path to raising our vibration. Holding on to guilt, shame, or anger lowers our state of being. But as we release those energies, we rise, not just emotionally, but spiritually. Wayne Dyer said, "There are no justified resentments." That's not to say pain isn't real, it is. But carrying it forever? That's a choice. Forgiveness isn't about denying what happened. It's about denying it the right to control our future. So here's the invitation: let go of who you think you have to be. Release the role you've been playing. Forgive not because they deserve it, but because you do. Your freedom doesn't lie in rewriting the past. It lives in releasing it. Letting go is not a single act. It's a practice, a choice, a quiet revolution that begins inside and echoes through everything we touch. Wayne Dyer said, "Don't die with your music still in you." And for so many, that music is buried beneath years of resentment, fear, guilt, and stories we were never meant to carry. Alan Watts reminded us that clinging is the root of suffering, and that freedom begins not when life is perfect, but when we stop demanding that it be. You've now walked through the truth that pain doesn't define you, it refines you. That forgiveness isn't approval, it's release. That identity isn't fixed, it's fluid. And that peace is never earned through control, but found through surrender. Whether it's Mandela forgiving his captors, Tyler Perry rising from trauma, or Steve Jobs letting go of ego to find vision, we see a pattern. Greatness doesn't come from holding on. It comes from having the courage to let go. And that courage, it's already inside you. So here's the invitation. Take a deep breath. Imagine putting down what you've carried for so long. The grudge, the fear, the self-doubt. Just for a moment. Now feel the space that opens up in its place. That space is yours. To grow, to create, to be free. You don't need permission to be new. You just need willingness. The moment you choose to let go, even a little, you begin again. If this message spoke to something deep in you, don't let it end here. Let it live through you. Share it. Reflect on it. Return to it. And if it moved you, let others find it too. Like it, subscribe, and help more people discover the freedom of letting go. Not for the algorithm, for the soul. Because your freedom isn't out there. It's in here. And you are finally free to find it.
Hey, incredible growth seekers. Wow, what a journey. If this video resonated, subscribe now for more life-changing content. Join our community of self-improvers. Smash that like button to fuel more content on mindfulness, goal setting, and emotional intelligence. Share this video to create a ripple of positive change. Comment below about your growth journey. Your insights shape our content. Next week, boosting self-confidence and overcoming limiting beliefs. Don't miss it. Every interaction brings us closer to a world of empowered individuals. Let's make personal development global. Stay inspired, keep growing. Your best self awaits. Let's unlock it together.